Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited tonight to have Paul Avgerinos here. He was born in Norfolk, Connecticut. He's a Grammy-winning music composer, performer, and producer who works in the genres of ambient, space, world, electronic, and drone. He's worked with Deana and Celtic tenors. Avgerinos is a member of ASCAP, and his music has been used in motion pictures, television shows, commercials. He graduated from Peabody Conservatory of Johns Hopkins in 1981, serves as the principal bass in the Hong Kong Philharmonic, and has worked with Charles Aznavour, Buddy Rich, Aerosmith, Jewel, and Run-DMC. His work uses a combination of acoustic and electronic instruments. Avgerinos plays bass violin, cello, guitars, keyboards, and sings, often uses romantic and impressionistic techniques as he composes and arranges his New Age productions, often employing wordless choirs. He sometimes uses lyrics, as is in his album of sacred chant, Phos Hilaron, and his album GNOSIS, which utilizes Greek Orthodox chanting. His collaboration with Peter Kater on the 2003 Red Moon album would earn a nomination for a Grammy Award. He since won 2 Grammy Awards from 4 nominations and won 1 Latin Grammy Award. Join us tonight and welcome, Paul.
Oh, thanks so much, Andrew. It's lovely to be with you this evening.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, it's interesting how we meet each other. In this case, I happen to know someone in this area in Windham, Connecticut, Stephanie, and she said, "Oh, I know Paul. You should definitely interview Paul." I thought, "Oh my God, what a great idea!" And I came across all your work, was very impressed with what you do, and just really would love to, pursue everything with you tonight and share with the world some of your wonderful music, and have you talk a little bit about your background, how you got into it. I think you've got an amazing story to tell. So let's first talk about Avgerinos. I mean, because that's an interesting word. You are tell me a little bit about your background, your heritage. I know you ended up kind of in an isolated community because of your heritage, and I think maybe that helped define your life to some extent.
Yeah, it's a great story. My father is from a lovely island in Greece, Kefalonia, which is the biggest island between Greece and Italy, and it's where Homer's Odyssey was set.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, Ulysses, Odysseus, is the king of Kefalonia and Ithaca, Ithaki. And so my family's from that island, so I always loved that story when I was a teenager, it was just
Hmm.
so engrossing. And I actually did an album, a tone poem based on some of the books from the Odyssey. It's called Muse of the Round Sky. So I took some of the stories, like the Lotus Eaters and Well of Souls, the chapter headings, and then made tone poems about them. But
Wow.
Avgerinos is a lovely Greek name. In Greek, it's Avgerinos, and it actually means the morning star, Venus. It's associated with the morning star Venus. There's an ancient
Oh,
Greek poem, Evgerinos ke Evgerinou, very romantic poem. So it's Venus and Mars dance on the summer horizon. Two lovers, they draw so near, but they can never kiss. They can never touch.
I
My
love it.
father, yeah, yeah, it's very romantic. My father
Wow.
recited that to me one early morning in Kefalonia, where the Venus and Mars were rising over Mount Aenos, and it was just such a magical moment, goosebump, big time
Wow.
goosebump moment. It's like, oh my gosh, that's what my name means. Wow. And it's also associated with Christ, the morning star, that has no setting,
Oh, yeah.
star that has no setting.
Mm.
So it's a beautiful name, and we recently found this Nicholas Avgerinos from Russia, who was friends with Rachmaninoff and Prokofiev, and he lived with Scriabin. It's a fantastic story.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
starting to research it to see if, maybe, because my Greek family, I know after 3 generations back, I'm pretty sure my father said from Russia. So it's possible there's a connection there, a family
Huh.
connection. So that's really heartwarming to think that I might be connected to somebody that hung out with Rachmaninoff.
That is
It's
very
like,
cool.
wow,
Yeah.
how cool
I,
is that?
I have to confess, I don't know what Salentano means. Someone asked me once, and I said, I think it means an excellent year, and I've already had it, so it's gone. But that's great. Now, was your family very musical?
Not really. My mother played the piano, and my brother was very good at music. He played reeds, saxophone, clarinet, and
Mm.
he was 4 years older. And so I basically followed in his footsteps because he started a big swing band, a jazz band in the high school because he was a sax player. Says, we should get a big band together and play How High the Moon and all those
I
great
love it.
tracks. Yeah. And so when I came along, this program was already going, and so I got to play bass in it. And it was awesome. It was just so great.
Wow.
And then, of course, playing the bass, people want you to play jazz, they want you to play rock bands, classical orchestra. It's a great instrument for that because, you can play so many genres and so many different kinds of musicians all need bass players, if one kind or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be very aware of obviously what's going on musically because you're setting the tone for the whole, pediment, the whole bass area. So I have to admit,
Yeah.
when I played piano as a kid, I wasn't very attentive to the bass. In fact, one time I played Jingle Bells in class, and my left hand was just bouncing around to random chords. And the teacher said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm playing Jingle Bells." She said, "I've never seen someone play a random left hand." So it sounded good to me at the time. So
That's
anyway,
funny.
yeah, it's great that you have that going. So
You decided to reharmonize the old classic, right?
exactly, it was very modern for its time. I was ahead of my time,
You were
actually.
ahead of your time, exactly. You were
And so
writing
now
a
you said your brother used to do that.
Jingle Bells 12-tone row.
Now you said your brother used to do that. Is he not doing music anymore?
No, he decided to go into genetic engineering.
Oh,
Got a doctor from MIT and got involved
oh,
with these recombinant DNA drugs like interferon and
oh my God, that's
Humira.
amazing.
Humira was
Yeah,
his big project, that this blockbuster drug. So he
yeah.
took a more practical route. He said, Paul, God bless you. You want to do music? I'll pray for you.
I just finished this book by Rami Bar-Niv, I'm interviewing in 2 weeks. He's a Israeli composer and pianist, and Joki told me it was, when he went to heaven, these guys went to heaven, and one of them said, "I was a doctor, I earned 100,000 a year." Another one said, "I earned 100,000 a year. I was um, a scientist." And then the next guy said, "I earned 40,000 a year." He said, "Oh, what instrument did you play?" So yeah, as long as any joke amongst us musicians here. But anyway, but how did music become a big part of your life? Your brother kind of set the stage for it. But at what point did you say, I'm going to really focus my life on music? That's a big investment, a big decision.
Yeah, it was a real cathartic period when I was 15 to 16. I was a typical misanthropic teenager. I had all the depression and the confusion and not know what to do with myself and, the typical disaster. But
Hmm.
around as about 15, 16, I heard John McLaughlin, the Mahavishnu Orchestra,
Ah,
big,
yes. Yeah.
fusion in
Hmm.
the 70s. And in Chick Corea, Stanley
Mm.
Clarke, Return to Forever, all those great bands, Weather
Hmm.
Report, but especially John McLaughlin struck me so deeply because right away I said, oh my gosh, here's the connection between music and spirituality. And
Hmm.
this man is living it. He is
Yes.
the virtuoso guitarist of the century, but
Hmm.
he's applying it to the spiritually based music. He has a guru and he's meditating.
Yes.
And so I got deeply into yoga. I was doing yoga 3 hours a day, and my life just changed because I realized, wow, I can connect with spirit in music, and I feel peaceful and safe and loved and comforted and content and
Mm.
blissful and just, all the things that teenagers don't normally feel, like things that
Yeah.
are missing. And
Hmm.
so I just threw myself into it headlong. And John was huge inspiration. And it was very serendipitous because his guru, Sri Chinmoy, was coming to Norwalk, Connecticut once a week on Saturdays. And
Oh, really?
that was about 20 minutes from my house in Wilton. So this guru from India was coming to Norwalk, Connecticut. I'm saying, okay, this is not a coincidence. I'm supposed
Wow.
to go there. I mean,
Wow.
I'm worshiping this musician, this music is it's
Mm.
touching my soul so deeply. It's feeding my soul.
Mm.
And now his guru is here. So, it was just game over. I'm done. I remember one of my friends, we went to see John McLaughlin playing down in Bridgeport with the Mahavishnu Orchestra. And he said, Paul, you we opened the door. You ran directly to the front of the stage. You dropped down on your knees and you didn't move for 3 hours. You were
Oh my God.
gone.
Wow.
John's out with his white robe and his double neck 12-string, 6-string,
Oh
Billy
my God.
Cobham on the drums, Jan Hammer on keyboards. Oh
You
man.
brought new meaning to the word disciple. You were a true disciple.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It just changed my life.
Mm,
I realized that you could literally contact the voice of God in music.
mm,
You could hear
mm-hmm,
the divine in music if
mm-hmm,
you surrendered to it. And so that changed everything. So, I went a normal path of playing with everybody I could and getting good training at Peabody Conservatory.
mm,
But the undercurrent, the substratum, the purpose of it all was to keep connecting deeper and deeper to spirit through music.
mm. Yeah.
So, whether I was playing orchestra or jazz, I was always looking for that sublime aspect to it. Like in the orchestra, the slow movements, the slow movement of Shostakovich 5. It's just, it's just he takes you right out on the edge of atonality and he just hangs there.
Mm.
It's just sublime. It's
I
so
love that.
beautiful. So often it was the slow movements that I would really connect to myself
Yeah.
the most. I mean, I love the virtuosity. Can you actually play this difficult part?
Mm.
You got to practice 8 hours a day. I mean, I loved
Yeah.
all that discipline because it's kind of like being a monk.
Yeah.
Serious classical musicians, they practice all the time and they're studying constantly. You to
Yeah.
maintain your technique at that high level.
And I will tell you that I attended
Yeah.
a session where this guy played um every Liszt Hungarian Rhapsody, and it was just, even though I love classical music, it was just overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it because I'm looking at the technical skill involved. He was amazing, but musically, I was like totally overwhelmed. I was just like I couldn't handle another note. But anyway, let's listen to some of your beautiful. Unfortunately, we can't listen to all of your music tonight, or even all of a particular sample because we have so much to cover. But I'd like to start with Grace Is. Do you want to talk about that a little bit first before I show that video?
Grace is, yes. So this is the first track off my first Grammy-winning New Age album in 2015. And the idea is that grace is not something that we have to aspire to or work to or earn, but that it simply is. Grace is, and therefore it is available to everyone at all times. It's just a matter of getting the ego, the small I out of the way and
Mm.
opening to that oneness connection with the sublime. And I'm pretty sure on Grace, the titles make a poem, which is kind of nice. Let's see, do you have a copy right there? Let me see if I have it.
Let's see.
Oh, here's one. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, so this is a fun thing that I've been doing on some albums is I make the titles of the tracks a poem so that you get some feeling, some depth of
Oh
feeling.
yeah.
Yeah, so the album, the tracks are Grace Is, Serenity, Angelic Presence, Equanimity, Always Blessed, Ascension, Grace of Om, The Eternal, Guru's Grace.
I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah,
very clever.
yeah, because nowadays we don't have big liner notes and we don't have a place to put stories. All we
Right.
have is the cover and the
Yep.
track titles. Of course, in digital, that's all you have.
That's all you get.
Yeah, I stopped doing CDs years ago because it just seems wasteful and
Yeah, I'm handing out CDs to people that said I don't have a CD player anymore.
yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, you feel
Yeah.
kind of silly, like it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
why should I give you the CD if you don't even have a play?
I know.
Don't put them in the cars anymore. That it used to be in everybody's car, so it was
Yeah. Not even in that anymore.
not
Yep.
even that. Except for I think Lexus is the only one that keeps doing it for some
Oh,
reason.
really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, here's Grace.
Grace
Grace
is.
is.
So this is a beautiful video too. stop it there because I wanted to share with you an interesting quick story. That water drop dropping down. I actually was in Dr. Etchison's class at MIT, who was the guy that discovered that with the stroboscope, the drop of water and then opening up the crown and all of that. So
Oh, nice,
just a
nice.
beautiful thing. How do you get these videos done? Is this done? Did you do this, or is this someone else that you hired to do this? This is a beautiful
Oh,
video.
I mostly do them myself. I just use iMovie and stock footage, and often I take a lot of photos, nature photos, because
Yeah.
I live in a beautiful area, so I pretty much do them myself. It's
Oh, that's
fun.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I interviewed a guy, Rich Sokolow, that had a video out, and some TV program picked it up, and he got royalties for years on it. They were using it as the background for or an ad or something like that. And you're going to have some great stories to tell in a few minutes about how your music has been embraced. But before we do that, let's go on to another one. This is called Joy Is. So this is a different album. And do you have the same kind of story where you've got different? Yeah. So I have here Rising, Simplicity, Childlike, Tranquility, Serene, Rivers of Light, Ascending, just beautiful references. So
Yeah, it's interesting. These two are actually a mother and child relationship. So the lead melody on Joy is played by the same fellow, Kevin Brahini Fortune, that's on Grace.
oh,
Yeah, and the Joy album was intentionally made as a follow-up to the Grace album because
mm,
it had been 7 years since we won that Grammy, and we thought, well, why don't we make another similar album together?
yeah,
My good friend Kevin Brahini Fortune. So it's a very similar track. Actually, it's I do that. I have
yeah,
these kind of templates. Like I
yeah.
have over 350 new age tracks released. So I have
Wow.
these what I call style guides.
Yeah.
They're, kind of templates. Like this is a particular template. There's piano, there's a melody usually with Kevin, and arpeggiators, there's and
Mm,
certain types of chord progressions.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like a formula, at this point. And
I want to ask you
I
too, how many layers are we listening to? Because there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's so beautifully intertwined. You can't really tell where one begins and
yeah,
one ends.
that's one of my fortes is I like to have many layers. Like you're listening to probably 50, 60 layers easily there.
Wow.
But
Really?
I love to have them very subtly layered in, so
Mm,
you don't really hear the actual individual layer, but you hear this composite.
yes.
Like the chords might be played by 9 or 10 different synthesizers at the same time, but they're
Mm,
all balanced, so none of them stick out. And
yeah.
yeah, they all blend together, kind of an orchestral approach. That's part of
Now, do
my.
you tend to do like find these chord progressions that you like and then build the melody organically, or do you tend to work more from the melody and then, or do you do kind of a little of both, or how do you go
Right.
about?
So that's interesting. My work with Kevin is very unusual in that often I'll have him create a melody on his own
Mm,
and then send it to me, and then I'll harmonize it.
I
I'll,
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll orchestrate around it because,
Ah,
it gives you more options
yes.
because, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I could put this chord here. And you might not normally go to that chord if you were just
Right.
doing your normal chord progressions.
Yeah.
So it's very liberating. It gets us out of that, you know, cookie cutter box, because we always tend to do the same chord progressions because that's what we
Right.
like. We're
Right.
comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. So I take his melody and I chop it into pieces and I introduce space. I stretch out parts and open it up so that when he finishes this first phrase, I could have maybe a couple chords there before the next one. And I could take the harmonies to different places, or I might slow him down. So he plays 3 notes that could be on a C major chord, but
Yeah.
instead I can put 3 different chords over it because I stretch it out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
because
sure it's done very musically. This reminds me of a funny story. I had a friend of mine ask if they could use one of my songs in the background of their film, and I said yes. But what they did to it is the film was 10 minutes, my song was 3 minutes. They stretched my song to fit 10 minutes, and it was like three octaves too low and
Oh
awful.
no.
I just
Oh
don't know
no, no,
why.
I don't do that. No, I don't.
No, no, obviously
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
things that are musically beautiful, but
Yeah. No, I use time stretching in Pro Tools, which is non-destructive. And
that's wonderful.
there's
Yeah.
usually you can stretch a note X amount before it starts to get weird, and then you
Yeah.
back off because you can hear artifacts and stuff. But
Ah,
yeah, but of course Kevin knows what we're gonna do, so he's very expansive to
I
start with.
love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
because we're two peas in a pod, so
Oh, that's great.
he knows what I'm gonna do, so he
How
gives
did
me
you two
lots of
cross
space.
paths? Did you meet in music school, or how did you guys meet each
No,
other?
I met him when I was on Hearts of Space Records when I did that Muse of the Round Sky album,
Hmm.
the Homer's Odyssey tone poem. I was on Hearts of Space, and so it was in 1990. I met him at a Hearts of Space event at the planetarium in San Francisco.
Oh,
So we had a little impromptu band put together of artists from the label
oh, that's great.
playing in the planetarium. Oh, it was lovely, yeah. And so Kevin was there and playing his electronic wind instrument, which is what you're hearing on Graces and Joy is.
Mm.
Um, and this is a wind controller. You blow into it and it fingers like a soprano sax, but
Huh.
it releases control voltages, not audio, not
Ah,
sound,
yeah,
but
yeah.
control voltages, and those go to a synthesizer that he built himself, a Surge modular, this giant
Oh
plug-in
my
single
God.
synthesizer. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
total genius engineer,
Wow.
musician.
Wow.
Kevin's amazing. And so we really connected. And Kevin, after the show, he said, you know, Paul, there were like 7 musicians in the band, but you were the only one that was listening. And I said, yeah, I noticed that about you. You were listening to the others are like doing their own thing, you
Oh
know.
my God. It
Well,
is a give and take.
look at me, you know. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. You got listen. It's a band. You gotta, you know,
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah.
What's the vibe? Oh,
Very
they're great
cool.
musicians, but Kevin is a few steps above though.
I love it.
He's in a class by himself.
So this features Kevin, and this is called Joy Is. So let's listen to
Yeah,
this
just
now.
a minute or two is plenty.
Yeah. Okay. I have to say that this is so restful and beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And I should tell people this is all on YouTube. You can find these on YouTube. You can also find some of the music we're going to play tonight is on Spotify. So I encourage you to just, turn these on and just watch them for 5, 10, 7 minutes, whatever long they are. They're just absolutely restful. Now, this next one is very different. God rest you, Mary Gingerbread.
Before we do this, I'd love to read the titles to Joy for you just for a
Oh,
moment.
sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So the titles make a poem, and it's Joy is subtle, content, innocence, rising simplicity, childlike tranquility, serene rivers of light ascending.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to help people to find that joy within them, that peace, that contentment, because the outer world is so deeply troubled. here on this planet, and there's so much suffering and self-created suffering, and it's very hard for people to stay peaceful and joyful and graceful and truly content because there's so much noise
Oh
and
my God.
so much disturbance. And so that's a big part of my life's work, is to help people, offering these humble tools, these modest tools, whereby they can have a little more quiet in their life, in their hearts, and maybe a little more reflection, a little more meditation, a little more contemplation, a little more acceptance of what is, because happiness is not out there. It's not outside of us. It's not something you can obtain or achieve or earn. It's something, it's our nature. It's our true nature within ourselves. And so we just need to relax into it and accept it, and accept that. So that's really my life's work with music.
It's funny, to get to that point is not always easy. In fact, I had a very stressful situation recently where, and I shouldn't have been that stressed, but my brother sent me something through UPS, and they kept misaddressing it. They kept misdelivering it. And finally, I had to drive 25 minutes to pick it up because they refused to bring it to me. And I was getting very upset with them. My wife said, well, let's just make a day of it. Let's go pick it up and have fun at that town, this odd town I never heard of before. So we turned something that was going to be very stressful into something that was actually full of joy. So,
Nice.
if there's any way you can find these stressful moments and turn them upside down, it's not always easy, can't always be done. But if there are options to do that, by all means,
Yeah.
listen to Paul's music because that helps.
Your wife is very wise. It's
Yeah,
making some lemonade out of some lemons, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Very bit of lemons. So tell me about this God Rest Ye Merry Gingerbread, because this is a fun little commercial thing. So yeah, this is so you also
Yeah.
deal with reality sometimes and animation, and this is fun.
Yeah. So last year I was talking to one of my Grammy friends, and somehow we got on the subject of Christmas albums. And I said, well, I've never made a Christmas album of my own. I've made them for clients, but as a producer engineer. But I got off the phone with her and I was like, I'm going to make a Christmas album. So she so inspired me, because I'm going to make a new age Christmas album. It'll be fun because I love those songs. I sing them in church, they're beautiful melodies. And I started working on it. And so the result was Chanty Noel. Chanty is peace. Of course, Noel is a Christmas carol. So it's a peace carol. And so this video is from my version of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. So I don't sing any of the words. I didn't use any of the words to these great hymns. They're all just ahs and ohs and different vowels, because I wanted to make it, less cliche or less, known, because
Yes.
these have been done so many times so well with the
Right,
words,
right.
and I didn't feel like I could add anything to that conversation. So I just wanted to make it a fun album where maybe Christmas music for people that usually don't like Christmas music,
Yeah.
something fresh, so they're like, well, that's kind of cute, I don't feel like throwing up when I listen to that Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I
That
love
was
the fact that you're doing something here so different than your other stuff, which shows you're quite skilled at different genres, which is wonderful. So this is God Rest Ye Merry Gingerbread Man. It's only a very quick thing. I think if nothing else, I think it's worth just having a nice laugh and listening to it. So here it is. I love it. I'm going to feel very conflicted eating a gingerbread cookie after this. I'm gonna tell you that. That is really wonderful. Did they actually have someone do the dance and then animate over it? Do you know how they made that animation? Because sometimes they put little fiduciary things on them, and they can figure out how they're moving and then map it into a computer. Do you know if they did that
I
offhand?
don't know how it was done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really cute though. When I saw it, I was like, I want to put this in my video. So
Mm.
yeah, it was a fun album. I really enjoyed making that album, and it's a joy to share.
Yeah. Now I thought this would be a great transition for Shanty Noel, the Shanty Mantra. Do you want to talk about that? That's not a video, but that's a musical piece we can listen to, Shanty Mantra.
Yeah, the Shanti mantra is a very famous Sanskrit poem or mantra, which is Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amradam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what it means is, lead me from the unreal to the real, thinking that all of this is unreal because it's just passing in front of our eyes. Everything is changing into something else. Everything's flower comes up and then it disappears. So that's the real from the unreal. And then lead me from darkness into light. And the third line is lead me from death into immortality, thinking that if we merge with the oneness, then we don't actually die. So it's a famous prayer. I chant it every day, and many yoga followers chant it a lot because and then also it has the Loka Samasta in it, which means it's a prayer for all beings to be free from suffering. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is a wonderful prayer with Tibetan Buddhist origins and Sanskrit connection, which is praying for all beings, that may all beings be peaceful and happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be free from the causes of suffering. So it's a very selfless, beautiful prayer that's in the middle of the Shanti mantra. So it's a very powerful mantra. I do it at least once a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Shanti Mantra.
Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya.
Good, Andrew.
Om Shanti, Om Shanti,
just love that beat too. Is that a traditional beat or is that something that you made up?
Oh yeah, no, that's very much not traditional.
It's quite, quite
I
it's
got
quite
I got
contagious.
a I got a little pushback from some pundits in India
Oh
about,
no.
well, just a little bit, but that's good. That means somebody heard it, that's good.
Well, it's a foot tapping thing, and I think it's
Yeah.
very attractive actually.
Well, yeah, the purpose of this album, see, I make albums with purposes. I don't just make an album for whatever. So
Yeah.
the purpose of this album was lots of people like to work out and exercise, and they're very active, but yoga people want uplifting spiritual music to work
Mm,
out to. They don't want to hear about, the latest love affair gone wrong, and because
yeah.
it's kind of depressing at the
Shaking
end.
your booty or something ridiculous like
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, at a certain age, that just
Yeah.
doesn't work for you anymore.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. So these are more mature people, they're more
Mhm.
serious people, they have active spiritual lives, but they want to work out to stay healthy. And
Mm,
so that was the style guide of the album, was let's create an album that's full of sacred mantras with sublime divine wisdom in them that are thousands of years old, but put it in a fun package, that
yeah.
you can vacuum the house to, you can drive
Yes.
down the road, you can, work out at the gym or whatever. So yeah, that was the style guide. And I think we achieved that. I went out and got some famous yoga singers like Krishna Das and Jayu Tall and Donna Delori and Wah. And I talked them into being on the album.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
it's fun. It's interesting that it's not one of my most successful albums because I think it's kind of in a genre by itself, which
Hmm.
is difficult because if there's not a lot of other things like it, it's hard for people to discover it because it's not,
Right.
yeah, this is, but an album like this, 5, 10 years from now, it might blow up and, become really popular. You never
Mm,
know in
hmm.
this business. So, you make albums because you need to. It's for your soul. Your soul
Yeah.
needs to make this album. So that was a lot of fun making that because I got to work with cool beats and
Mm.
lots of beautiful vocals. And I do a ton of music for TV. I've got over 8,000 tracks in my ASCAP catalog. I have over 4,000 TV show cue sheets
No
already.
kidding.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, I'm very active in that. It's kind of a side gig that
Yeah.
I really enjoy it because I get to do all different genres, and it's very
Mm.
cathartic because the new age stuff is, it's so pure and innocent that sometimes it's fun to just break out and do something really commercial,
Yeah.
like a rock track or a tension track or a hip hop dramedy or
So these things we hear in the background on TV could be you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the latest trend. The last 15 years, what's happening is instead of hiring a composer to do the TV show, they
Mm.
just go to the library and they grab the tracks that fit the picture, and then
Wow.
they just write down, oh, I used Paul's track such and such, I used Mary's track and Joe's track, and then you get
Hmm.
your ASCAP royalties down the
Yeah.
road. So it
Nice.
saves them the cost of a composer and the time of working with a composer.
Right.
And TV is a fast-paced business. They shoot
Mm.
the thing, especially these reality TV shows. They
Yeah.
shoot them, they edit them, they throw the music in there. They could be on next week.
Yeah.
Like, so I might get a brief, Paul, we need some Latin rock music. So
Mm.
I'll do 3 Latin rock tracks, and then that could be on TV in 10 days,
Wow.
20 days. Yeah, it's really fast.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's so many channels. There's all these low budget shows, reality TV shows. They're
Mm.
easy to make because you don't need great actors, you don't need scripts. It's just
Right.
people being silly, being
Yeah.
themselves.
Right.
What's funnier than your regular people?
Yeah. Or
It's
being or
hysterical.
being what they think people want them to be. So now speaking of which,
Exactly.
you ended up having a great success with what piece was that Amazon embraced and you're getting 10 million hits you're getting 10 million hits a month on it. It was a meditative piece. What was that?
Oh, yeah, I'm very blessed. A couple of years ago, I got on this Amazon meditation channel. It's a
Mm,
curated playlist that they promote. So if
yeah.
you say, hey, uh, what's her name, Erica or Alexa, hey, Alexa, play some meditation music, they're going to play the Amazon meditation channel.
Yeah.
So at one point, I was getting over 4 million streams a month on
Wow.
this, and it went on for about 2 years. So
No kidding. Wow.
there's my retirement. It's set right there.
That's great.
So I always tell young people the strange thing about this business is you never know which track is going to be the one
Yeah.
that outperforms,
Right.
So
Right.
I've made, let's say, 350 new age ambient tracks, and out
Mhm.
of those, only about 20 or 30 have performed at that kind of a high level.
Yeah.
And the rest of them all just kind of, they amble along in their
Mhm.
low level production.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a numbers game where, you do need to be active. You need to, so I release at least at this point, I'm releasing more than one album a year.
That's
I
great.
usually do
Wow.
2 albums a year because,
Mm,
I've gotten quick at production, so it doesn't take me that long to make good sounding tracks.
yeah.
And I've got some nice collaborations right now. I'm working with the Dalai Lama on a new album, and I'm working
Mm,
with President Jimmy Carter. We're working on a project with
really? Wow.
fabulous President Carter. Yeah,
I know you did something with Deepak Chopra too. Working
yeah.
on.
We've done like 5 albums with Deepak, and we have a few
Wow.
more in the can
Yeah.
ready to go. So this is wonderful collaborations.
Mm,
So it's like success helps success because it opens doors. The Grammy
yeah.
wins really helped a lot
Oh,
because
sure.
it gave me some credibility so
Hmm.
that, I don't have to sell as hard, like, hey, trust me, I can make a great production with,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Now we have a couple of other selections. Ganesha, am am I saying that correctly? Ganesha,
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 Ganesha.
Lolita. Which of those should I play? Ganesha or Lolita? I don't know if we have time for everything. So,
Play like a minute of Ganesha. So Ganesha is, the elephant headed god. And in the Hindu pantheon, he's all about knocking down barriers. Like,
ah,
so like when you're starting a project, if you were starting a project in India, you would honor Ganesha
ah,
before you started building or whatever, because Ganesha is he's an elephant, right? Nothing can stop him. Right. There's no obstacle the elephant cannot surmount.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, Ganesha is awesome.
this is Ganesha. Okay.
Om Ganapataye Namaha.
Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Ganesha.
Om Ganapataye Namaha. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha.
Jai 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 Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai 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 Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Jai Jai.
Ganesha, Sharanam, Ganesha, Om Ganesha, Sharanam, Ganesha, Om Ganapataye Namaha.
Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Jaya Ganesha.
Om Ganapataye Namaha.
I have to admit, I'm getting goosebumps now that I know the meaning behind all this. It's not just random. Let's play all of the other one. This is Lalita.
Lalita, yeah. So Lalita is one of the names of the Divine Mother, the goddess, the creator of the universe.
Uh-huh.
And this is
Lalita.
one of my favorite singers, Emma Chiara. You heard her she's doing those cool backgrounds on Ganesha, and she is doing the Shanti mantra lead. That was Emma. She's
Mm,
one of my dear favorite singers. She's down in Florida now, and I just produced a single for her called Dopamine. It's more of a popular track for her. And
Ah,
she is really good. I just love the way
wow.
she sings. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Lalita, Lalita, Sri Lalita. Lalita, Lalita, Jagannatha. Vishvavemohini Shiva Lalita. Mukti Pradayini Shiva Lalita. Lalita, Lalita, Sri Lalita. Mata Pavani, Sri Lalita. Veda Vilasini, Sri Lalita. Lalita, Lalita, oh Lalita.
What I love about this is you're bringing spirituality to the rock crowd, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, you know.
Yeah. Now you have a couple. We did Joy, and how about Subtle? Is that also from this album?
Subtle is from the Joy album. That's a pretty gentle piece with piano and echo swell guitar.
Yeah,
This
let's
is
try a little
what
of that.
I played my electric guitar through a volume pedal, and you pluck the string with the volume off, and then you swell in, and it goes
Oh,
through all these delays and reverb, so it has a long sustain time.
oh, I
It's
love that.
yeah, it's fun.
Hence Subtle. I have to admit, this is the kind of music that I could get a massage to or go to bed with. It's probably just the most restful kind of music. Just gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well,
Now
it's
you have
nice
another couple. Yeah.
when you get a message from someone that, you know, I've been stressed out and I can't
Yes,
sleep, and your music is giving me some peace of mind. I'm like, well, that's an honor, you know, to be able to help someone.
definitely. Yeah.
Almost
I had
like
a
being a
woman come up to
doctor.
me. Yeah. I had a
Yeah.
woman come up to me once and said, I was driving through a hurricane, and the only thing that gave me peace is your song. It makes you feel, oh my God, so special there. Now you have a
Yeah.
couple more I'd like to play. Rising. Do you want to talk about that's from the Joy album too, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, Rising is a style guide that's more about leaving the physical, kind of like an astral journey, you know, where you see if your spirit were to leave your body and
Hmm.
travel through spiritual realms, which there are many types of spiritual realms.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a style guide that is more the deeper end of the pool. You know, it's for people that really want a deep rest, you know, they want to take a break from the physical for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take a break
Excellent.
from the physical.
This is Rising. In college I had an M3 and something called a Leslie, which is a spinning speaker. It almost sounds like it has that kind of an effect in there. How are you getting that kind of spatial effect? What is that?
Yeah, that's there's a few things going on. There's flanging,
Mm-hmm.
and something I'm doing is I'm actually flanging the reverb. So I'm like modulating the reverb so that it the reverb tail itself is constantly flanging through different
Oh,
frequencies.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so you get this like a filter opening and closing, like kind
That's
of,
great.
but that's on the whole sound. The whole sound
Yeah.
is getting filter sweeped in
Oh, that's
different
great.
ways. Yeah, it's a fun style guide. I've done it quite a few times.
Mm.
Certain people really enjoy that because it helps them to, let go of the physical for a while and just be pure spirit,
Yeah.
to be their true nature. Us spiritual people believe that we actually are pure spirit and we're not the physical. We think,
Mm.
we're so locked into the physical because we've been reincarnating for so many lifetimes that we are addicted to this physical um, plane of vibration, and we've come to believe that it's real and that the spiritual is unreal. So
No,
so
there
we
are
we
days I wish
think
I could
it's
close my eyes and go someplace else entirely. So,
well, we
yeah.
think it's quite comical because the average person has reality completely 180 out. Whereas the average
Mm.
person thinks that the physical, the solid, this is real, and that the
Hmm.
spiritual is imagination and fantasy. But it's
Yeah.
actually the other way around. And
Yeah.
and quantum physics proves it empirically. If
Yeah.
you take the time to study quantum physics, or actually just simple physics, you'll realize
Mm.
that everything is energy. The physical matter is an illusion. This
Mm.
seems solid, right? But what is it really? It's energy traveling at the speed of light held in form, but it's not real. It's it's an agreement. We all agree that this is real, and therefore
Mm.
it is, you see. But it's deep stuff. But anyway, I love quantum physics. I've been studying it all my life, and
Mm.
I love how the physicists are proving everything the ancient rishis said 7,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We get a big kick out of that too.
By the way, when you say Rishi, is that spelled H
R
S?
R I S H I S Rishi. The rishis are the people that created yoga and the Vedas and
Ah, okay.
mantras. Yeah, we're talking about 5,000 BC, 6,000
Yeah.
BC,
I
and
have a client named Rishi. I didn't know what the background was on that. That's
yeah,
pretty
it's
cool.
also a name. It's also a name, but it really means royalty, like
Ah,
deeply honored, because these
okay.
these people gave us yoga. They gave us the Vedas. The Vedas
Yeah.
are the Bhagavad Gita, the
Mm.
Mahabharata, these sacred books of wisdom.
Hmm.
And yeah, and they gave us all the mantras, the sacred mantras that some of which we heard tonight.
Now, Paul,
So
I'd like to play this thing that's called In the Bleak Midwinter because it uses that fractal concept that you use. And I call this one God's Eye, but I'm sure there's more to the story than that. Do you want to give us a little background
Oh,
on this
yeah,
one?
thank you. Yeah, so I've been working with this program called Fractal Architect, and it can create these modulating mandalas, these
Mm.
symmetric, geometric, sacred geometric mandalas, which evolve over time, which fits my music so perfectly. And this is a cool piece in the bleak midwinter. So what I'm doing is I'm actually playing the famous melody in the bleak midwinter, but I'm doing it at like 4 beats per minute. So it
Oh,
takes,
wow.
yeah, so it takes about 6 minutes to get through the melody one time
Ah,
because
I
I'm
did not know that.
stretching, yeah, I'm stretching it out so much and reharmonizing it. And
Huh.
making it much more uplifting because the actual melody is kind of sad, it's about
Mm.
the bleak
The Bleak
midwinter.
Midwinter. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
little sad, it's kind of a tearjerker
Mm.
Christmas hymn. But um, so that's what I did musically, and then the mandalas help to, give you that hopefully pulls you into that serenity and that
Oh my God, yeah, it's very
energy.
hypnotic too. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
I'm convinced that if you stare at this long enough, you'll be in another dimension.
Yeah,
So,
so we were just about 7 notes into the melody right there.
wow,
That's how
wow.
far, because the first minute is just introduction, and then
Yeah.
yeah, we had la di da di da da. That's about where you stopped it. So
I
yeah,
love
I
it.
really
I love
actually
it.
really like that piece. I'm so glad that you picked it. It's a
Yeah. Now, I thought we'd end with this piece. This is the hugging saint, right? I think is that who this
Yeah, this
is?
is my guru, Amma Sri Matamritananda Mai Devi Ma, Jai Ma. So uh, I have a kind of a miracle baby. I have an 8-year-old daughter who came into this world because of Amma's blessing. So at that time in 2015, my wife and I were trying to have a baby, but we were failing and we were both older.
Mm.
And there were miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies, and it was not looking very good at all.
Oh,
So my
yeah.
wife said to me, we're going to go to India and we're going to ask Amma, the hugging saint, to give us a blessing to have a baby. And if it doesn't
Mhm.
work, we're going to quit. We're not going to do in vitro and all the crazy, you know, medicine,
Yeah.
medicine man stuff. And I said, okay, that sounds like a plan. And we met Amma in New York and then at a retreat. And then in February of 16, um, 15, excuse me, we went to India and we became devotees. We got mantras from her, and we on our knees were asking, Amma, baby, please, baby, please. And she looks us both in the eye. She looks at me longer, like, are you sure you want this? And I said, oh, well, I'm sure. I was a little apprehensive, actually. That's another story. But
Mm.
uh, she said, okay. She threw flowers on us and gave us an apple to go and eat. And the blessing happened on February 20th of 2015. We got pregnant that spring, summer, and the due date was February 20th of the following year to the
Oh
date.
my God.
Yeah. So the OB was like, so what kind of fertility medication did this old couple take to have a baby? And my wife said, we didn't take any medicine. We went to India to get a blessing from the hugging saint. And of course,
Wow.
the doctor was like, well, I don't have a place for that on my form. So there's no box. The insurance company doesn't have a box for that. So I'm going to put other.
I love it. I love
But
it.
I love the breadcrumb that, the blessing was on February 20th. The due
Yeah.
date, she said, your due date is February 20th. And my wife was like, oh, you're kidding, right? She says,
Wow.
no, it's February 20th. And so she was born actually on the 27th. And 12 days after I won my first Grammy for Grace, she was born.
Wow.
And A lovely, lovely child, Juliana, and we named her after my mom, my dear
Mm,
mom. And so I made this album the following year as a gratitude to Amma, as a
yeah.
an offering to
Mm.
just show my appreciation. And so what would be a good track? Let me think.
Well, I just have this one, which is what is this? This is just the the
Oh,
basic track.
the closing prayers.
I think it is, yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, whatever you have
Yeah.
queued
Let's
up is
play that.
fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Ritorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka.
I wish we had time to listen to the whole thing, but just beautiful. You know, what I love about this last hour, we learned so much about what's inspired you, and that this is just not new age music. It's inspired spiritual music that's got a basis that's full of, you know, true spirituality and a very deep knowledge of it. It's coming from real roots of spirituality that's quite moving, and very much appreciate how you've taken that and embodied it into, at least even if it's not real, it's the physical auditory signal that the rest of us could share with you, that you are sharing with the world. And so, you know, that's very much appreciated. So thank you for that. I want to open it up to the floor and see if anyone has some questions for Paul before we wrap up. Does anyone would be brave enough to ask a question? Just unmute yourself and feel free to say something at this point.
Well, I feel bad about not moving from the spiritual world to something more practical, but I was curious, how does somebody break into the world? You mentioned ASCAP. If somebody is a aspiring composer, wants to get the music presented, how is that done?
Well, nowadays, one of your options is to build a relationship with a music broker service like MIBE in New York and LA. These groups, if you Google music licensing, there are companies that take in music from composers and then they turn around and present it to the TV users, the TV producers, music editors. And that's one way to get your music on TV and in films. And, you know, there's a learning curve involved and skills to acquire, but that's available to all composers.
Mm.
You'd probably want to have some studio capabilities of your own, though, to play that game. In other words, you need to be able to produce the music yourself because there's not enough money on the back end to pay for going into a studio. So that's the caveat is that kind of work is good for people that are comfortable with a studio situation. You know, they know their way around a computer or a Logic, a Pro Tools, know how to make tracks and mix them and stuff like that. So that's one way. And then the other way is similar in that you can't invest a lot of money producing a recording if you're only going to earn a few dollars from it. So it leads us back to that we need to be able to do it ourselves. This is why I learned how to be an engineer. I didn't go into engineering because I wanted to engineer other people's music. I went into it to learn to be good at it so I could produce my own recordings. And so at this point in my career, I don't need to produce anybody else's music. I only do it if I like them and there's some kind of chemistry, because mostly, you know, I just do my own stuff for New Age and for TV. So the current model the old business model is just gone, but the current model is that you have to be a producer, engineer, composer, performer yourself and create content and then know how to get it to market. It's a lot. It's a lot of hats to wear. It's not for everybody. Takes a lot of discipline because, you know, it's not just the creative side, but you also have to be on top of the business side. I mean, I'm in my office doing spreadsheets, and like right now I've got an album coming out May 30th, Gratitude Joy 3. Two fellows in India and me created this, but it's a lot of work involved. There's spreadsheets, there's PRO submissions, there's mechanical submissions, there's sound exchange submissions, there's videos that have to be made, and there's clips, and then there's banners, and there's, you know, it's just a whole list. I've been working on it for, you know, a few months now, just getting ready for the release. And it's a little creative. I mean, you know, I make some pretty banners or some cute videos or whatever, but it's a lot of office work. So, you know, you have to be willing to do all that. You know, in here, this my recording studio here, it's, you know, about having a style guide, a vision, creating good content for a specific market. And then I go in the office and it's all about, you know, how do we bring this to market? How do we get it to the public successfully? What can we do? What promotions are available to us? And it's a lot. It's a lot.
For the
It's not for everybody. You know?
For the old fashioned, I have a tune here. I'd like to see if somebody will take it and, you know, make a hit out of it. All that's gone.
Yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, it is, and it's sad in a way because you know, it's like people don't have imagination now. It's like if you have a beautiful melody with, you know, a nice song, you have to produce a good version of it so they can hear it. You know what I mean? The old days you could just, you know, sing the melody to them and they'd be like, "Oh, that's a beautiful melody. Let's go into the studio. I'm going to put you with this composer. I'm going to put you with this producer, this engineer." That was a fantastic time in music, and look what we got out of it. We got timeless melodies, classics, you know, beautiful productions, Lennon and McCartney and the show tunes and Gershwin and on and on. But it's so different now. It's just so different. But, you know, I think you do it because you love it, you know, you do it because it feeds your soul, and you just adapt to the times. I started in the 80s, you know, seriously, and so much has changed, you know, the technology, the business side of it. It's a lot, you know. Sometimes I feel like I've got whiplash, you know. It's like trying to keep up with all the changes.
Well, it's
I
obviously
think if somebody who's got musical talent, but doesn't have access to all the things you're talking about, and you wonder what does that young person do, or young, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, and you know, it degrades the quality of our culture because the people that have access are business savvy. It's all about business, you know, like a Taylor Swift, she's a great businesswoman. So her focus, I mean, yeah, she makes good pop music, but she's really focused on business. And, you know, it's all about the brand and, you know, market share and blah, blah, blah. So I think our cultural enrichment suffers from this. It does, because a lot of the music, it sounds the same, you know. It's like, where are the beautiful melodies and the fabulous lyrics, you know? So it does, people sneak through now and then, but I think in general there's been some sad losses of that, you know, that when I grew up, that's the way music was. You know, commercial music was beautiful. You know, you had these great melodies and great arrangements and real orchestras and real singers who could actually sing, you know, in person. That's like a dream now, you know. It's
Well, I do know, Avi, that there are ways to get your music produced. So, for example, I have a friend in Lynn, Massachusetts, Doug Hammer, that's done amazing stuff with my melodic ideas. I had one piece that I orchestrated, just came out beautifully, but I don't know what to do with that piece to present it to somebody that would take it and actually do something with it and get a licensing deal. So you said there's this group called, was it MIB something?
MIBE, yeah,
MIBE.
that's the MIBE. If you Google that, you'll find them. I do a ton of work with them. We're
Mm,
getting TV shows every week, but
wow.
it's a slugfest. I mean,
Right, right.
I've got thousands of tracks with them
Yes. Oh
and
my God.
thousands of tracks. I'm not kidding, literally
Mm,
thousands of tracks with this one company.
mm.
And it's for me, it's just
Uphill battle.
it's a side hustle. I do it because it's fun and I like
Yeah.
seeing my music on TV. I don't need to do it anymore, but I
Mm,
just enjoy it. But
yeah.
for someone starting out, you have to, modulate your expectations in a big way. You just
Mm,
have to say, well, I want to play this game. I want to invest in it. It's like investing, really. You know, you buy your index funds year after year, and one day you wake up and there's a whole pile of money there. It's very much like that, but it takes time.
mm,
So, the licensing thing is a slow burn. You got to build relationships. You got to make the tracks. You got to make the versions that they want. They don't want just the main version. They need variations of it.
yeah.
And then, you get it in the system, and then maybe you get one license, and then you add some more, and then you get another license, and you add some more, and over years you build it up. So you have to look at it as an ongoing project. You don't expect to get anything out of any one track or any one effort.
With regard to the index fund, I'm still waiting for that day when I wake up and there's a pile of money.
Well, I sold everything a month ago at the last peak, so I'm waiting for the crash right now so I can go back in and
Go
make
back
more
in.
money.
Oh my God. Oh my
I
God.
should look, then we should talk to you about investment as well as music.
I
No,
guess.
Not only
God,
that,
no, no, not me. No.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just do
Paul,
what helps me sleep at night.
thank you so much, Paul. This has been fun.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you,
appreciate
Andrew.
it.
It's really,
I,
really enjoyable to chat and share all this. Thanks so much.
we've spent the last 2 weeks listening to each other and talking and prepping, and I listened to his music quite a bit. And I encourage everyone to go online and go to Spotify. Just amazing stuff. Next week, I have Michael Bork, who actually is what I call a closet musician. None of his music's been published, but he's a very clever innovator and design engineer that also writes beautiful music. And then a week after that, I have this fellow from Israel, Rami Barniv, who is a famous pianist that plays all over the world and a composer, and also wrote a book on piano fingering technique, which I love. So I just read his autobiography called Blood, Sweat, and Tours, so by Rami Barniv. So I want to wish you all a great night. Thank you for coming, and I hope to see you all again soon. And very soon, Paul, your interview tonight will be on acomposerscorner.com. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a great
you. Have
night.
a good night. Bye-bye.